But one of the things that I remember you talking about, and I have a point here I want to get you talking about, is ghostwriting. Because you actually wrote your books, right? And I know that
Yeah.
you've ghost written for other people out there. And I'm in the process of writing the Resolute Man book right now, and I'm enjoying it. It's such a thrilling experience. But my question to you is, did somebody actually write their book if it was ghost written? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, I've ghostwritten for some very famous people. um, Not a lot of people at that level really write their books. I mean, unless they're a writer, right?
Yeah.
But I was ghostwriting for a very famous Christian guy in the early 2000s, probably sold more books than almost anybody in Christendom. And I remember sitting at, I'll tell you two stories without using the guy's name, but I was sitting at the table in Starbucks up in Issaquah, Washington. At the time, it was the largest Starbucks in the world. And I was writing for this guy, and I came up with this really cool twist of a phrase. I don't remember what it was, but I remember going, "Wow, that's really good." And then I remember thinking, "But I can never use that now." And I thought to myself, I could actually take this and keep it for myself. But I was writing on the clock for him when I wrote it, so nobody else would have ever known, but I would have known. So I knew that I needed to give it to him and leave it in the writing. But I thought if I ever quoted it or ever said it or anything like that, people would say, "Oh, he stole that from so and so." And then the other time I was sitting at Starbucks, and they were the first, it was a big Starbucks. It was a former pizza parlor, and they used to test drive all their concepts. I think it was the first Starbucks to ever have the couches, first Starbucks to ever have a fireplace, first Starbucks to ever have the boardroom kind of thing. I was sitting at this big conference table, and across from me was this guy. And after a while, I'm writing, and I'm writing for this famous guy, and I'm writing, and I kind of take a break, and I kind of lean back, and he goes, "Hey, I've seen you over there. What are you doing over there? What's your name?" And we start talking, and I said, he said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a writer." And he goes, "Oh, what do you write about?" And I said, "Well, mainly," and I named the topic that I typically write about. I'm trying to keep the names out of this. And "Oh, I love that. That's my favorite topic to read about, blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "Have you ever heard of," and he names this guy. And I go, "Yeah, yeah, I've heard of him." And I'm literally writing with this guy's name on my laptop, such and such by so and so. And he goes, "You ever heard of him?" I go, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of him." I kind of glanced down at my laptop. He goes, "I love him. He's the greatest writer ever." And I went, "Yeah, oh yeah, he's fantastic." And it was kind of those two things that made me really think. Number one, it's a little bit fraudulent, and then the other is I was giving away my best ideas to
Mm.
somebody else. Now it was a lot of money. I mean, I was making $1,000 an hour writing. And so I was like, it's pretty good money. I fired all my ghostwriting clients, and the very next book I wrote was The Angel Inside.
Mm.
And like I said, number 2 on the Wall Street Journal, number 7 on the New York Times, and number 3 on Amazon. Not number 3, 6 categories deep. Number 3 on Amazon for a week.